Creating conversations that start new conversations. Arrow.net, ARROE.net. Let's do it. Let's play it forward. These are real people, real stories, the struggle to play it forward. Episode number 507 is with film critic Ty Burr.
I am doing well, Arrow. How are you? Is that you in the picture?
It is. It's one of those little radio shots where they were looking for something unique that listeners might want to wrap their hands around.
Mm-hmm. Looks good.
Hey, do you feel like that we're ambassadors to Hollywood right now? Because there's still a lot of people that aren't making their way into theaters, but the two of us in our own way and shape are doing everything we can to put butts in the seats.
Yes, I feel like, when the movies are good, absolutely. I want to get people out to see them. And when there's a movie that's a crowd pleaser that gets that feeling when you are... That's so rare nowadays with streaming. We're all stuck at home with the pandemic and with streaming channels, where you're in a crowded movie theater, masks on if that's what you believe is appropriate, and everybody's just grooving on the movie, and you just get that sense of not just your own individual reaction, but a group reaction that's somehow bigger than one person. You can feel it in a horror movie. You can feel it in a comedy. I just saw Bros, the Billy Eichner movie at the Toronto Film Festival, gay romantic comedy that is like built on the bones of every Harry Met Sally movie, but with an ironic twist. And seeing that in a full theater with an audience was just a complete trip because it's really, really funny. Judd Apatow produced it. It's got a really smart script by Eichner. It's just like the jokes just keep coming, boom, 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 boom. And you can just hear the audience just rolling on that wave of comedy. That's a great feeling. You don't get that at home. This would be a totally different movie at home.
Wait, there are like two different personalities that we are these days, because we will accept a great binge watch that's 12 or 15 episodes old. But the thing is, though, is that when you go to Amsterdam and I'm seeing that it's coming in at 2:15, I sat there in the theater going, come on.
Well, that's that to a certain point is the problem of the movie, because if it's a really good movie, it'll pass. You know who Harry Cohn was? He ran Universal Pictures way back in the day, and he always said that he could tell that if a movie was bad because his butt itched. And Red Skelton famously had said, "Imagine that all of Hollywood is wired to Harry Cohn's ass." But you can start twitching around in your seat if a movie's not doing it for you, if it's taking you out of the film. But if it's really good, it can be 3 hours long and you will be riveted. But you're right. binge TV shows have a different sort of chronology to them. During the pandemic and in this time of political turmoil where we don't know what's going to happen next, where we want something that'll just get us through the week. So you get a show like The Bear or Bad Sisters, which my wife and I are currently watching, and there's going to be, you watch an episode or two tonight, there'll be something you can watch tomorrow and maybe through the week, and you don't have to worry about picking something the next day. Especially with all these streaming platforms and all of this content, you get anxiety, you get choosing anxiety, you get programming anxiety, and having a TV show that you can rely on kind of gets rid of that. Yeah.
Well, I don't want another Star Wars movie. I'm okay with The Mandalorian and with Obi-Wan, and I'm having a tough time with Andor, but I think I'm going to make it through.
Well, I find that interesting because Hollywood, the major studios now almost completely rely on what I call IP films, intellectual property films, franchise films. So they're going to keep throwing Star Wars at you. They're going to keep throwing another Fast and Furious at you. If they can figure out a way to resuscitate Harry Potter, the middle-aged years, they're going to do it for you. They're scared of original ideas because audiences don't want to see them, because they have found through their focus research that audiences want something that they know that they want to know what they're getting into before they get into it, which is why something like Top Gun 2 was partly a huge success. It was a good movie, but it was also, just everybody knew what they were going to get. The original stuff, the stuff we used to call dramas and comedies and thrillers and suspense films, even musicals, those are all on TV now. Those they get made, but if they make it to theaters, they make it to the independent theaters, the little art house theaters, and then go straight to streaming.
All right, we're both movie fans. We also see that theaters have got to be like bowling alleys. They've got to evolve and they've got to make it fun. Yep. I recently did the 4D. I lasted 30 seconds. I just couldn't do it. Have you gone through the experience yet?
Of what? 4D?
4D theater where the seats move and they shoot water at you and there's wind and everything like that.
I'm not going anywhere near that.
I lasted 30 seconds. I mean, I had to get out of there.
I mean, if I want to go to a theme park ride, I'll go to a theme park ride. But, again, I mean, that goes back to the 50s. There was a guy named William Castle who used to have gimmicks like Emergo, where a skeleton would come out on a little guy wire and sort of sail through the audience. And he did one for a movie called The Tingler, where he actually wired the seats for electric shocks.
Oh my God!
So you'd get a little, nothing obviously fatal, but you'd get a little zzz. I mean, they're going to do anything to try and get you back in the seats, and in this case, shock you out of them. But the movie's got to come down to the movie. Yeah. You got to be entertained. If it's not a good experience, the water in the face and the wind is just going to be ridiculous.
Yep. Ron Howard with 13, and we've also got Blonde, which just recently came out. I love them on the flat screen, but I was blessed with the opportunity to see the Ron Howard film on the screen. But Blonde, I don't get to see it on the big screen. I think it needs to be up there.
Well, I have an issue with that movie. I don't think it's a very good movie, and I especially wouldn't want a 4D treatment.
No,
because there are some shots in there of certain bodily orifices that you don't want to see in 4D. Right. That is, but you're absolutely right. That is a movie, and it did. Blonde has and is playing select theaters in the, like the major cities, only so Netflix can get some Oscar nominations for it. That's the only reason it's there. But it's being fully rolled out on Netflix, which, in the case of that movie, that's such a audience-unfriendly movie. That is a movie directed by a guy named Andrew Dominic. I stick up for his right to make any movie he wants, but this is one that is, if you are remotely a fan of Marilyn Monroe, you will hate this movie. And so I kind of question Netflix's, programming choices there. But I will also, to your point, say that this Blonde is a movie that is brilliantly put together, very, beautifully shot, edited. It is a big screen. It would be overwhelming on a big screen. Personally, I don't think it would in a good way.
Right.
But clearly, that's what the filmmaker is thinking about. And I will say that filmmakers, generally speaking, the ones I've read about and talked to, are unhappy with this new world where they make a movie and it won't go to the theaters. They won't be seen on a big screen. It'll go straight to streaming, or it'll just pop into theaters and pop out.
Yeah. So teaching film criticism in a world where it's no longer about the critics, it's about the influencers. It seems like the influencers are the ones that are being invited to the special screenings.
That's not true. The critics are still, working critics, professional, movie reviewers are still being invited. But the influencers are, because it's marketing. It's the marketing department sets up those screenings. They invite the critics and tolerate them because they know they get the word out, bad or good. But the influencers are actually the marketing department's dream because they aren't necessarily critical. They don't approach it. And by critical, I don't mean negative. I promote critical thinking about popular culture. It's not bad to think about what works, what doesn't, and why. And it's also perfectly fine to go in with a critical mindset and have a great deal of fun with an entertainment movie. And it's not about, sitting there with an ascot and a cigarette holder and frowning at the screen. Quite the contrary. Everybody I know who's in this business, and I know most of my fellow critics, we do it because we love movies.
Yep.
We always loved movies. We fell in love with them as kids or as teenagers. And when we find a movie we love, we are so happy to tell people about it. That's the best thing in the world. Influencers, my feeling about them is, to one degree or another, they're bought and paid for. They are answering to whoever is, in some cases, giving them free stuff or paying them.
Yep.
And they get a free ride to the junkets. And so they are inclined to be supportive and positive toward a film in a way that a working reviewer doesn't have to worry about.
Let's talk about Nope. I think that they're going to get a nod somewhere because it was creative in its own special Jordan Peele way. But the problem is, I went there to see the way that Jordan did, those thriller chillers. But I walked out thinking, no, that was just another episode of Twilight Zone.
Interesting. I enjoyed that movie. because I felt it was Jordan Peele saying, I'm going to make my own Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
Yeah.
but I'm going to make it with and for black people, and and by that I mean not just putting black people in the film, but with an attitude slightly outside of, so it's not just Richard Dreyfuss looking up at the sky and going, holy cow, it's the aliens. It's like, okay, what do these guys want from me? What are they going to do to me? I'm going to stand back here and wait till I see what's going on. And if they get real with me, I'm going to get real with them. And I appreciated that. I still think Get Out is the one of his that just hits on all cylinders. But I love seeing him develop. And, I don't think he's made a bad movie yet, which is remarkable because usually first-time directors come out on their second swing and can miss badly. Yeah. I don't think he's hit on the level that the first one did, but I love watching him try. I think he's got a better batting average than M. Night Shyamalan, for one thing.
Yeah, because, I keep waiting for him to come up with that next brilliant film. The thing is, though, that I love about him is the fact that I won't give up on him. I see his name on a movie, and I show up no matter what.
Really? Even for the Avatar adaptation where his name was barely on it?
There's just, you just know he's got that vibe about him.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we want the big reveal. Mm-hmm. We want the surprise. And he's, I do appreciate, I think he's made some terrible movies. I think he's made some great movies. And I love the fact that he's still making them. He's still, he's still trying. Because the worst thing that would happen is that a creative visionary, I'll say it like him, just gives up and goes away. Yeah. You need those ideas. You need those stories, especially now when we're all sort of cocooned at home, binging on different platforms.
Yeah. Don't you think that and just only because I work so closely with different movie theaters is the fact that I'm seeing that people accept bad like they do in restaurants or bad service at a grocery store. It's like they come out going, it's a B movie. I'm going, you're not angry that they didn't do better? It's a B movie.
Well, I think one of the reasons that the theatrical business, the exhibition business is struggling is that it costs so much between the tickets and the food, which is where the theaters make most of their money because the studios take most of the ticket cost. And if you've got a bunch of kids, it's over $100 for an evening's entertainment.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And the movie had better be good. So if you come out and you're meh, or even worse, that was terrible, you're inclined to not do it again. So I do think that they need to work on the pricing issue.
Yeah.
The other thing that I will say, the dirty little secret about a lot of movie theaters is that their presentation is not what it should be. The projection, the sound, the average projection and sound in your average multiplex theater is often shockingly poor. And I've reported on this in the past in the Boston area, to the point where, honestly, if you have a big screen TV and a decent sound system, you may be seeing a better picture and sound, getting a better experience than you do in the theaters. And again, I think this could be fixed. And so I'm kind of confused as to why it isn't more of an issue than it is for the management.
Speaking of those experiences and stuff like that, somewhere along the line in the Oscars or even in the Golden Globes, they've got to come up with an award for these beautiful concerts that IMAX is doing with the question and answer periods and stuff like that. I saw Kanye West and I saw my theater just explode with fun and excitement.
Yeah, I think I love the idea that theaters have run with in the past, 5-10 years now, that they can do live events, not just concerts, but theater.
Yes.
My wife and I go see live theater from London all the time. That, to me, is a really legitimate expansion of what a theater can do and really brings, for one thing, it appeals to different audiences. It's bringing different audiences into your theater. For another thing, it brings a level of excitement. When you see something live, it's unpredictable, and there's an extra sort of like just edge of excitement to that. I would love to see more of that. I would love to see more musical artists take advantage of that. That's the way to bring back the theater as the commons, as sort of the public commons that it once was, certainly for the bulk of the 20th century. People before, especially before the rise of TV, people would go see 2, 3, 4 movies a week.
That's it.
we're never going to get back there, but it would be nice to create that sense of, oh, I'm going to the theater to have a real experience with a crowd.
Well, I said at the very beginning, you are an ambassador to Hollywood, and you proved it, and I would love to have you back on this show anytime in the future, Mr. Ty Burr.
Thank you, Errol. I would love to be back.
Absolutely. You'd be brilliant talking with everybody today because you've got the ticket to get everybody back in those seats.
Thanks. Well, that's what I'm trying to write about in my newsletter, is just, where to find the good movies, both in theaters and on streaming.
I love it. That's a job. That's a job, mister. You're a busy guy. Have fun today, sir.
You as well. Thank you.